Hello everybody, my name is Martin Steen and I'm the singer of Iron Fire and responsible for the vocals and some of the songwriting on this album, Voyage of the Damned. And welcome to the commentary track, which is a bonus for the Voyage of the Damned album if you have bought it through our official web shop. So now you get the chance to get all the stories behind the whole production of this album, which took about 2 years or something like that. So I'm gonna tell you about a little about the lyrics, a little about how we did the songs, how we wrote them, you name it. So if you want to know the whole story about this album, now you get the chance. And this first track, The Dark Beyond, is of course an intro, and it's composed by Rune Stasny, who did all the keys on this album and who is a great friend of the band and is kind of like, you know, the fifth member without being official member. He did this, we wanted an intro before we kicked in with this song was coming up right now, because it's a pretty brutal thing, so we wanted a kind of an intro. And now we kick into the Oblivion OJ666, which actually was one of the last songs I wrote for this album, because we needed a really up-tempo song. So I thought, why not make the fastest song we have ever done and kick it up a notch. And so I wrote this song, and I think it's a great starter if you want to really kickstart a heavy metal album. So why not do it with the fastest song? And so that's what we did. The whole lyric thing is pretty easy. It's about traveling into space to kind of find out where we're coming from. Pretty much up to date with the whole Prometheus movie coming out right now. So it's about traveling to the stars and trying to figure out what the hell everything is about. And the whole thing about the OJ666 is that the biggest black hole in the universe is called OJ something I can't remember, and I just thought it was cool to put in the 666. So it's kind of like a bit inspired of the movie called Event Horizon, if some of you out there know that one. And there's a lot of inspiration from a lot of sci-fi movies on this album, and it's kind of we took a lot of the greatest movies that I love and put them into a blender and kind of did my own story about it. As for the vocals on this particular song, I'm singing a bit higher on this track than on the other tracks, and it was of course to, like I said before, kick the whole album, kickstart it, but also I wanted to try to capture a bit of the Bruce Dickinson feeling, which of course wasn't easy to nail down, but I think I've nailed it in the end pretty good. Regarding the drums on this track, I know that Fritz Wagner had his problems with keeping up with the tempo on this track, because I just, programmed some drummings and some metronome stuff and wrote the song and said to Fritz, now we're gonna do the fastest song you've ever played on. And he wasn't particularly happy about that, but he did a really good job. And this is when you go later into, after the solo thing, there's coming up a blast beat and stuff like that, which the first time we've ever done that on an Iron Fire album. And here's coming up a final little growl thing that people actually commented on a lot of the songs and said it's weird that I'm doing the death metal thing, but I've actually been doing that since On the Edge album. It's just, it's not been as lead vocals, it's just been in the background. So it's actually been something that I've been doing over the years to kind of mix the whole thing up. And here comes the blast beat. Pretty amazing for an old school heavy metal band like us, I think. This was actually one of the free songs we did as pre-production demo. Every time we do an album, we need to deliver free songs to the record company to get the approval and get the budget to do the album. And this was one of them, of course. And well, we had a lot of problems with getting the budget actually and getting the approval from the record company. Which is a bit funny when you listen to this song, which I think personally is pretty strong. But of course it sounds a bit different from the other tracks we've been doing in the past, so I guess that's not up to me to decide. But either way, we got the money in the end and we did the album. Coming up here is, after a spooky intro, is the song Taken, which is the third track on the Voyage of the Damned album. And this was actually the first song I wrote for Voyage of the Damned. And it was the first song that we rehearsed and tried to kind of figure out what way to go with this album. And it took about 2-3 months before we kind of nailed it down, because a lot of the drum patterns, a lot of the whole way this song works is way different than the typical power metal things we've been doing in the past. And it's definitely way more groovy than the things we usually do, and a bit inspired by some of the more modern metal bands like Disturbed and stuff like that I really love, and tried to kind of blend that into the whole Ironfire universe. It wasn't easy, that's for sure, but after a while we kind of we got it down, and when we had the whole feeling about this song down, it was much more easy to write the rest of the album and get that to work. So it was actually just about, just not doing the things the way you usually do it, and try to expand your mind and your way of playing on songs to something different. Regarding the vocals here on this song, I wanted it to be brutal, especially in the chorus thing. And what I usually do is I get friends to sing along with me who are more into the whole aggressive vocal thing, because I can do it, but it's hard on my voice because I'm more a clean singer thing. And on this one I got my good friend Ivan Grossmeyer, who's known for maybe the biggest cover band, heavy metal cover band in Denmark, the Metallica Jam. And he's got this whole thrash thing going on with his vocals, and he also did vocals with me on the last album, on the Underworld song. That's him too. And on this album we kind of tried to explore more of his black metal sounding vocals, which I think works really good for this song. And of course I can't thank Ivan enough for helping out here and creating this really special song, which we are opening up with at our live shows nowadays. And after this little melodic passage here, you see we're going into a more 80s kind of feeling riffing here. Actually a bit inspired by a Danish band called Pretty Mates, which I love a lot. On the lyric side on this song, well, it was like I said, it was the first song that I wrote for this album, so it goes years back. And in that particular time, I was a lot into, of course, outer space and UFOs and stuff like that, and watch a lot of programs night after night on YouTube, and got into the whole space thing. And so this was the first song I wrote about, this is actually about alien abduction. And the whole thing about, watching all those programs and is there life out there and stuff like that, is that there are no answers. You can either believe or not believe, because there's really no proof. And of course the believers are saying there are a lot of proofs, but I don't know really. But anyway, I thought it was a good way to kind of get into the whole space concept thing, and it was actually not meant as a space album. It was just a song that I wanted to have on the album, but because I was so much into the whole space concept, UFOs and shit like that, I decided to write about it on the whole album. And I can definitely tell you that after 2 years of seeing a lot of sci-fi movies and seeing all the programs and being into the whole outer space thing, I was pretty tired at the end. So when we finished this album, it was kind of like, no more fucking outer space, okay? I want no more. And I really don't give a fuck if there's life out there. I want to move on now. But anyway, it was fun while it lasted, and it's just a way of telling you how much I usually focus on the whole thing, and on this album I focused on the whole outer space thing for 2 years, so it's kind of became an obsession for me. So it was nice to finally put it to the ground when this album was done. And now we kick in with the song called Slaughter of Souls, which are the first song on this album, which are written by Kirk Bacharach. And he's actually written half of the songs on this album, and that's a great thing, because we wanted to expand the things, and we wanted to go in different directions this time. And after been doing the Revenge album, and then the Blade of Triumph album, and then we did To the Grave, which were pretty much the same thing we did. We just tried to do it even, better at every album. So it was important for me to get more of Kirk's songwriting into the whole thing, and to make it sound a little more different, and of course still have the whole Iron Fire feeling. But the thing is, when Kirk writes a song, he does not write it with vocals, so it's more guitar riffing orientated, and then I just kind of put vocals on top of it, and sometimes we rearrange the parts so it fits with the vocals, but that's pretty much how we do Kirk songs, and I think it ends up pretty good every time. So and of course the way he writes the songs are way different from the way that I write the songs, because I'm more vocal orientated. So it kind of gives a good span of different things, I think. So when you hear a Kirk Bacharach song, it's more guitar orientated. I like that. The growling part in the chorus is none less than Dave Ingram. You might know from Benediction, the old classical death metal band from England. And he's actually living out of Copenhagen, and he's a good friend of a good friend, so I thought I needed some more growling, and like I said before, I wanted different people to do it. So I hooked up with Dave Ingram, who did the backing vocals and the middle part of the song, which are really great, and of course also really thankful to Dave for taking his time to do this track. And well, he actually nailed it pretty fast in the studio. Took a couple of hours messing around with it, and yeah, he's a damn professional English gentleman, and the part comes up here. That's damn fucking heavy metal, if you ask me. And now Kirk Bacharach kicks in with his guitar solo, which is pretty much his signature kind of a solo thing. Melodic, a lot of scale riffing, and yeah, I think he found his own way to do things, and has found his own sound, and that's a very important thing to have nowadays with all those great heavy metal bands out there. So you have to kind of stand out, and that's what we are trying to do with everything on this album. On the lyrics side, we are into, of course, deep space again, and it's about finding something really evil on the other side of the Stargate. Yeah, pretty sci-fi thing. About, meeting some weird alien creatures who are somehow sucking out your soul. can't really remember more about it, what I thought when I wrote it, but it was something like that, and well, it works pretty good. And here comes the long vocal note, which is pretty impressive if you know that I'm a smoker, and well, I can tell you I didn't nail it in the first take, that's for sure. But I got it down. And here we kind of get the whole outro thing, the whole space army crusaders lined up before they go into battle in space and meet their final fate with the so-called soul suckers from hell. I wanted this outro to have military sounding feel with the whole snare drum going on, the whole mosh thing, and yeah, well, it took a while before the guys in the band understood what I was thinking, but yeah, like everything else on this album, we got it down. It just took a lot of time. And here we kick in with the song called Leviathan, and some of you might know that we have done a video for this song, and if you haven't seen it, go to YouTube, of course, and check it out. Our first video in our career of 13 years, so I think it was about time to make a video. This riff is... Actually, I wrote this song, I wrote the riff, but Kirk came up with this melodic riff, which might remind you a bit of In Flames. But either way, I really love this part, and I really love the song because it sounds different than the other stuff we've been doing in the past. And if you go to the YouTube, you can see a lot of comments that people can't really figure out if this is power metal or what the fuck it is. And my opinion about it is that, I mean, who cares, as long as it's good metal. But I guess that people out there, it's really important that you can classify everything, and I think that's a pity. But anyway, I of course respect everybody's opinion about it, and either way you can be loved by everyone out in the world. So, but I think we did something different with this song, and it's a song that I'm really proud of. Regarding the video, we did finance it with our own money, and because it was after 13 years time to make a video, I think, and I thought that this particular song would be great for it because it has the whole feel of the album, and it has something different. And we want to show people that Iron Fire, of course, are a traditional power metal band, but we have much more than that, and we don't want to be restricted to only the classical traditional things. And I guess a lot of people out there has always been thinking about Iron Fire as this only classical metal thing. But we're musicians, and we've been doing the same thing for many years. So if you want to keep it fresh and you want to keep the inspiration running, you have to push it. And a lot of those things we do for ourselves, and just try to do it as good and blend it in so we don't, fuck our fans. So, but like I said before, you can't be loved by everybody, and I'm sure there are old hardcore Iron Fire fans who don't like this album and this song. So, but there might be new people into it. So it's a give and take situation, and like I said, music-wise, we have to refresh the whole sound once in a while to be able to continue doing this thing. We did the video shoot in Denmark, and with a couple of friends of ours, and it was in this big hall. When if you have seen the video, you know what I'm talking about. And it was, I think it was February, so it was freezing fucking cold. But when you do a video, you do the whole playback thing, and you act and you scream and you sing and you play like it was a live concert over and take after take. So after a while you get pretty sweaty. of standing there pretending you are on stage, and then you go for a break, and then it's really cold, so you can it's not a good thing for a singer, that's for sure. But it was really funny for us and a good experience for us to make the video and experience what we can do better next time, and hopefully get more money to do it next time. Because people, when you see a video, people are kind of, this look cheap, and well, we don't get a lot of money to do it. Actually, we don't get any money, so it's out of our own pockets. So we kind of you have to work with what you got. And of course, the video could be better, but I think with the amount of money that we throw into it, the result came out really killer. We shot it at only one location, and it was actually planned that we should do several locations, but we only had one day to do it, and like I said, the finance side of it was really small, so it became a one-location video where we're just standing and playing, but I think it looks pretty good. Lyrics on this song is inspired by a book by Dean Koontz called Judgment Day, which are maybe one of the only one or one of the few outer space books he has written. And the topic here is, of course, alien invasion on Earth. And the reason why I'm wearing a cross in the video is not that I'm a Christian person at all. I don't like religion, but it has some relations to Christianity and the whole thing about believing and standing together when the enemy from outer space comes to invade our homes. And of course, the whole title, Leviathan, comes from the Bible, and I can of course understand people are thinking, why the hell is he wearing a cross in this video, and now you know why. And on that note, we are going to the next song, which are the Final Odyssey. And I had a lot of problems with figuring out how to do a ballad song on this album, because it is outer space, and how the hell do you do a sci-fi ballad? But after a while, I kind of came to the conclusion that it should be a vocal standalone song with only key arrangements. And I wrote this song with Rune, and we did most of the tracking in a few days at his studio, and came up with this song. And the whole lyric content of this song is actually, I'm working at a hospital, which are my normal day job, because there's no money in this music. So, and on this hospital, and no worries, I'm not a doctor, but on the hospital, a lot of old people at the high seasons, at the Christmas and Easter and stuff like that, are dying. And I thought a lot about that, and thought a lot about dying alone, and why they died at the holiday seasons, and came to the conclusion that maybe they kind of give up because there's no more to live for, and maybe there's not that many people to take care of them anymore. And then I kind of I thought that was a good idea to put in a song. And of course, why not do the ballad thing with that concept? So I kind of used some time to convert that into a sci-fi thing, which maybe remind people of the movie I, Robot. So this is actually about a robot, or a spliced robot with human DNA, which are out of date and put on graveyard planet where all the robots go when they are out of date. So, and while this robot has been disconnected, and lying torn apart on the graveyard. It's somehow the brain activity hasn't really died yet. So all the emotions which are in its DNA from the humans, it's kind of a flashbacks in his mind while he's in his final hour and dying, and he's kind of reflecting on a lot of emotions of course, love and passion, and a lot of the feelings that makes human beings unique, and that he has passed along with the human DNA. And that kind of that takes us back to the whole feeling about dying alone at a hospital, and in your final hour you reflect on the things you've done in your life, and the people you loved. And hopefully for most of us, it's we are fortunate to have been lived a good life when we reach that point. But in this case, it's a sad story, and I think that the song and the emotions that I tried to bring into it with the whole vocal thing kind of sets the picture pretty good for what it's about. And I guess it's our topic that means a lot to us as human beings, and how we are gonna check out from this life. And I guess in the end the whole message is, of course, pretty cliche, but it's really about, take care of the people that are around you and that love you, and don't take everything in life for granted, and try to, life might suck at times, but make the best out of it, and because you never know, this might be your only chance, so that's kind of the message that I wanted to bring with this song. And in that respect, it's kind of a positive thing, though it is a bit sad. I also think that this might be Rune Stjerney's best work so far. With the whole key arrangement on this song is really amazing, and I'm proud that I wrote the song together with Rune. And that brings us to 10 Years in Space. And this song was actually named 10 Years in Hell. And it actually has not that many things to do with outer space. But then again, it's my reflection on being in the show business for 13 years, and all the good things about making music and releasing albums, but also the whole backside of the story with, being a product of some company who want to earn money on you, while you kind of spill your guts out on every album. And the reason why it's called 10 Years in Space is that when I wrote the song, it's 3 years ago. So, and it's kind of like I turned it into 10 Years in Space instead of 10 Years in Hell, because it hasn't been hell, but at some points in my career, it feels like hell, and very confusing times. But then again, I turned it into In Space because it has been a journey, and it has been a voyage, and sometimes it feels like you're in fucking space when you do albums. But I guess that's how the business are, and who am I to complain about that? I mean, I make albums and release it all over the world, so I can't complain. But that's my life. And sometimes we are too much up in our own ass in this life, and can really see the big picture sometimes when we get in trouble and when times are tough. So this is actually just my reflection on the whole thing, and how I hate the whole business thing about it, and I love the whole music side of it. and I wouldn't change it for anything. But like I said, sometimes it's difficult. But it's not different from doing any other work or any other career choice. It's just that I, have the opportunity to write about it and kind of get my frustration out on songs, and hopefully some people out there understand it and can get something out of it, that you're not alone, man. And I guess even in the darkest times in our lives, there's always a way out, and maybe if you really think about it, it's not that bad, I guess. So anyway, the song is written by Kirk Bacharach, and it was a song that we messed a lot around with, especially this part down here you listen to now, which are more kind of progressive thing that we wanted to incorporate in the song. And I remember we changed the chorus to be more kind of like this sing-along anthem, more Iron Maiden-ish, if you will, and I think it works really good, and the chorus is definitely a good hook line, and a thing that people can sing along with at the concerts pretty easy. And kind of mix up the whole thing about the brutal riffing, the more flashy verse thing, and the whole melodic chorus, and kind of brings the whole package in the song, which are what we're aiming to do with our music, and somehow sums up the whole lyrical content about being aggressive and hating the music business, and at the same time loving everything about it. So it's a two-edged sword, man, being a musician nowadays. Unless, of course, you are in Metallica or something like that. And I'm pretty sure they got their problems too. So no more whining and no more bitching from my side from now on. And that brings us to the title track, Voyage of the Damned. And what you hear in the background here is what we call the Space Dogs. This song is written by Kirk Bacharach, and it was the last song we wrote for the album, and the last song we rehearsed before we entered the studio. And it was, as you well know, it's a pretty long song, and Kirk Bacharach came with all the riffs, and it was pretty naked, because we wanted to have room for the orchestral thing, and which again Rune has done to perfection. So this is, I remember this was the last song I wrote lyrics for also, and I talked to Kirk on the phone while I was doing the vocal recordings, and had to come up with the final lyric. And I was kind of like, okay, I have written about outer space and sci-fi for 12 songs, so what do I do with this last song, which is kind of the big long title track? And so I had to come up with something, and I remember him telling me in the phone that, okay, now you just now you sum up the whole album with the lyrics and just push it even further. And I was kind of like, what the fuck do I do now? Because I couldn't really figure out what to write about it. And then I got the idea from the movie, Space Odyssey movie, the old movie. And I was kind of like, okay, why not make a third movie just in audio, and kind of go into that universe, and do it a little more evil. Because I love those movies, the Stanley Kubrick movies, but it's I wanted a little more evil, So I came up with the lyrics, which are one big fucking journey in space and beyond, and is a journey of the human mind also. sophisticated stuff. And remember coming up with the verse parts. And there's actually his first take recordings, both verse. But of course, after a while, I figured out that I wanted a guest on this song. And about a year and a half, I moved from Copenhagen to Norway, to a city called Skien. And it's actually the same city where Pagan's Mind are coming out of. And Pagan's Mind being the big local heroes and the great band that they are, I thought, why not ask Niels Roux to do the vocals with me? And so I got his phone number, and I think I contacted him on Facebook, maybe, I can remember. But anyway, I got in contact with him, and after a while I persuaded him to come to my little studio here and do the vocals, do his guest vocal parts, which of course turned out really great because Niels is a fantastic vocalist. And in this song, he kind of hits the higher range, which he is really good at. And I could concentrate more on doing my thing and do it different from his high vocals. And of course, want to say a big thanks to Niels for taking the time to do the vocals on this track. This is one of the tracks that I'm most proud of, and we worked a lot on it, and it turned out really amazing. I think it's an epic, and kind of gets around with a lot of different emotions, and going from really hardcore evil stuff to more melodic, and of course the whole symphonic part. Which brings me back to Rune Stjasny, who worked about a week on the string arrangements on this song. And we had he actually came to my place in Norway for a week, and we worked our asses off, especially Rune did keyboards and did nothing else for about a week, and he was going out of his mind in the end, but he came up with some fantastic stuff. Especially for this song, and the stuff for every song actually. And then he went back to Copenhagen and refined everything, and but most of the ideas came here at my place in Norway. And if you listen here, I'm trying to be really evil and brutal on the vocals here, and doing the whole 7 Deadly Sins thing, which also is included in this song, because I think a lot of the whole thing about exploring the outer space also is essential, of course, for us human beings, but it's also I had an idea about, the whole greed thing also, and a lot of the 7 Sins things. With that, mankind want more all the time, and if we can find other planets out there, we want to take them and use them like it's our own. And in the end, that doesn't really make us different from being, the aliens who we all see in all the movies, who want to invade our planet and take our resources and stuff like that. So, and here is the quiet vocal part, which I'm proud of, and almost sounds like that I'm been to church when I was young and singing, but I didn't. I drink beer. A lot of the lyrics on this song is also about my journey from living in Copenhagen and being at a place where I didn't like to be anymore, and moving to another country and trying to find my place here in the world where I like to be, and a lot about growing up and becoming an adult and living a family life instead of just fucking around and trying to be a rock star, which I'm not, and just trying to be responsible for your own life. And if you are at a place you don't like, you just only one person who can change it, and that's yourself. And that's what I did. But it takes some balls sometimes, but if you don't like the place where you are, change it. Can't expect that the world change it for you. Now, this note right here was really tough to nail down. There's a lot of the vocal parts in this song, and on the whole record was really tough to nail down, because I wanted to push my vocals even further, and for the first time actually it was not important for me to sound like my idols, and for the first time really, what can I say, coming out of the closet as my own individual, as a singer, and not being afraid of being Martin Steen and not sounding like Mikael Kiske or for that matter Bruce Dickinson, which anyway I've never could be compared to, because they are kind of the biggest singers in the world. So, but you kind of you have a goal, and as a musician, and you know what you want to sound like, and that's what I've been doing for many years. But I finally found the strength and the trust in myself too. I can do this without being, without doing the same thing as those big heroes are doing. And here we come to the perfect outro for this title track, which of course is Ones Jasny. And this is kind of our Titanic thing here. Really beautiful. And after a long journey with this song, just kind of somehow gives you a conclusion, and somehow a little peace that you've been through this long journey, and in the end you find your own peace. Beautiful stuff. And now we are kicking in with a song called With Different Eyes. And this song is a bit inspired of the movie Minority Report, but also deals with a lot of self-reflection on things you do here in life. And most of the song is written as the main character being hurt by somebody. It could be love, it could be anything, but in the end what you see in the mirror is yourself, and the reason why things turn out bad might be your own fault. This is a Kirk Bacharach song, and remember having a bit problems with the chorus in this song. The verse thing here you're hearing now is really great, I think. But then we came to the chorus, and I changed it a couple of times to kind of get the right feeling, and of course I tried a lot of things with choirs and stuff like that, but in the end I ended up with doing it pretty simple. Because that worked best for the song. We used about 10 days in the studio just for the recording of the drums with this album, and once again we did it at the Earplug studio, which is actually just down the hall from our rehearsal room. So it's pretty easy for us to do it like that. And the owner of the studio, Pede, is a good old friend of ours. And we've been actually recording drums in that studio since the Revenge album, so there's nothing new there. It's a good, safe working environment for us, and working with Pede for that many albums, it's we can fuck up and do it over and over and over again till it's perfect, and we like to do it that way. When the drums were done, we went home to our separate home studios, and did our thing at home. So Kirk did his guitars at his home. I did my vocals actually in the studio I'm sitting in right now. And then we gathered all the files when we were done and sent it to mix. And for many years we have been using Tommy Hansen, who's known for the Keeper albums of Halloween and a lot of other stuff. But this time around we thought that now that the music is a bit different, we wanted a new sound to the whole album, and that's why we chose Jakob Hansen this time. And he's been doing Volbeat, he's been doing Pretty Maids, he's been doing Mercenary, a lot of stuff. And so we went to his studio and mixed it over a couple of days, and he had been working on the mix before we came there, so everything was ready, and we were just doing the last tweaking and the final touches in the mix. So all in all, we used about a week to mix this album. And I gotta say, working with Jakob for the first time, it was a really pleasure to see how fantastic he is with the whole mixing thing and how skilled he is, and everything with this mix went really smooth, and it actually turned out with the sound that we wanted, and I guess even more. So thanks again to Jakob for doing this great production. And I'm pretty sure that it will not be the last time that we are gonna use Jakob Hansen as a mixing engineer on an Iron Fire album. But then again, you never know what happens in the future and which direction we are gonna choose to go in for the next album, which of course is gonna take a couple of years before we get to that point. But we'll see what happens. And this brings us to the next song, which is Dreams of the Dead Moon, which is another Kirk Bacharach song. And if you listen to the drum beat here, we did a lot of different experimentations on drum beats on this album. And I know Fritz really pushed everything to come up with new things. And did a lot of more rhythmic tom feel on a lot of the rhythms, and I think that worked out pretty good. On the lyrics side of this song, it's a bit inspired of the old classic Alien movie, and what I had in my mind when I wrote the lyrics was that if you imagine people on a spaceship, and of course they've been sleeping for a long time because it takes a long time to space travel. I guess you know all about that if you've seen all the movies. And in their sleep, they have been having really nightmares about this weird planet that they have been drawn to while they were asleep. And now they wake up, and now they are on this weird, evil planet, pretty much like in the Alien movie. And that brings me to a point where I'm gonna talk a little about the whole cover thing on this album. And for many years we've been using Eric Philippe for the cover art, and likewise the producer or the mixer engineer, we wanted something different this time, and somewhere we found a Swedish guy called Pa Olofsson who did the front cover art for Voyage of the Damned. And the reason why we chose Pa was that a lot of his work has this really geeker feeling to it, and of course, being a big Alien movie fan, that attracted me to his work. And if some of you don't know who Giger is, he was the dude who designed the whole alien creature and all the surroundings for the weird planet on the first Alien movie. So after been talking to Par and mailing back and forth, I told him what I wanted, and he came up with some ideas, and every time we do an album, we also have to get permission with the cover from the record company, and he did a draft drawing of the front cover, and we sent it to Napalm Records for approval, and everybody in the band was really happy about it. And when you get a draft drawing like that, it's in black and white, it's before all the colors are added and stuff like that. So, and we sent it to Napalm Records, and it got approved, and everybody was happy because it was a little different because there was no warrior on the whole thing, and of course we wanted something different on this album. So he finished up the cover album, and then when everything was done and everybody in the band were really happy because it was what we wanted, then Napalm Records told us that they didn't like it, and which of course were pretty painful for us, and they wanted it changed. So they asked Pa to change the whole thing, and they wanted, no matter what, they wanted a warrior on the cover, which of course we have been using on most of all the other album covers we've done, and but this time it tasted a little different, and it was outer space, and I thought it was, and everybody in the band thought that it was about time to move on a bit, and in my mind it didn't really make sense with a warrior on the cover for a sci-fi album. So, but anyway, they told us that no warrior on the cover, no album release. So that was pretty painful, and in the end I just told Napalm Records that you can do what the fuck you want, because I don't. If you don't listen to my ideas, and I'm the man with all the ideas for the lyrical content and stuff like that. If you don't want to listen to that, I mean, what can I do? So, lucky for us, Pa Olofsson put on a more alien warrior thing on it, and I guess in the end it ended up pretty good. But that's the whole story about the cover, and I gotta tell you, it was pretty stressful, and had some sleepless nights when all that shit went down. But then again, that's how the business is, and if you can't take it, don't do it. So, and now a month later from the release, of course I can understand that Napalm Records just want to sell albums, and of course I want to sell albums too, but I want to make the music and the cover and everything fit together, of course, and that sometimes can be a bit hard because they are not really listening to what the lyrics are about, and in my mind the cover gotta fit together with the lyrics, and but anyway, it turned out pretty good, and we're still friends with Napalm Records, even though it was a bit of a struggle. But no matter what, a big thanks to Par for doing a really great job with the cover art, and even though he had to change it a couple of times, but I think we're gonna use him again in the future. We'll see about that. If you look inside the booklet of the cover, it's done. The graphics are done by a guy called Robert Mello from Sledgehammer Graphics, and he's actually the dude who's doing a lot of the cover stuff for Sabaton, and he's been doing a really great job with the booklet, and if you look at every page, he found an image and found an artwork for every song, which are different, and that really looks cool, and thanks to Robert too for a really good job. And as we are listening to the chorus from the song Voyage to Collide here, I can tell you that I goofed a lot around with the chorus on this song, and thanks to Rooney, it ended up pretty good. And I actually saw on the internet a comment here the other day that this chorus sounds a lot like the old song "Alone in the Dark." And yeah, I guess it does. But it's the same composer, man. I'm the one to blame for that one. But it's still a good song, and even though the melody are pretty similar to "Alone in the Dark," it is not the same. But I guess that's my signature and my way to do chord progressions, I guess. Remember this? I remember this part coming up here. The vocal part here was a thing that I did in the studio while recording it, and got the idea for that one. It was not something that we rehearsed, and I think it works pretty good. And again, we got a lyric here about soul searching and looking inside yourself for the answers, the big answers here in life, and like I said before, it's sometimes you gotta look inside instead of blaming everything else in life. And again, we got a more personal lyric here, and yeah, I guess even though your shadow are burning, like I'm singing here, and your soul feels reckoned, there's always another way out, and it's just about thinking different, I guess. And that's kind of the big moral here in this song. And that brings us to the last song on the regular version of the album, and this song is called Realm of Madness. And this intro right here is one of the more proudest moments on this album, I think. Realm of Madness is actually, the lyric content here is actually dealing with, sometimes here in life we hurt people and we let people down. And even though it's not our intention to do so, sometimes, shit happens and things work out bad. And you hurt people here in life, and this is somehow, I guess, my excuse or just my definition of how things can go wrong, and I guess an excuse here for things I've done in my life, which I'm not proud of, and I'm not gonna go further into that. It also deals with sometimes you can be drawn into situations here in life that conflicts with your own moral, and you can, with that you can hurt yourself, and you can hurt the people around you, and you can abuse people, and you can abuse yourself with different things here in life. And it can be alcohol, it can be drugs, it can be a lot of things. It can be feelings about security, about a lot of things in life, and how that can hurt the people around you. And I had the idea with this song that it's kind of like the devil who draws you in to a place where you actually don't want to be, and where you can't really recognize yourself anymore, but somehow you ended up there, and now you just want to say I'm sorry to the people that you hurt around you. And I guess this, in some way, this song is a personal confession. Of course, as a songwriter and as a lyric writer, I love to do songs like this, and not only does it give me outlet for my things, but it also somehow makes sense to write about human nature, and I guess things here in life that are concerning everybody. I've always tried to do that with my lyrics, but on the other albums we've done before, which were more kind of a hero warrior orientated, it sometimes could be pretty difficult to get squeezed in, all the things between the lines. And still make it a good heavy metal hero lyric. And I had the chance this time to do it more simple and get my point through, which of course is pretty necessary when you do lyrics. And but sometimes it can also. Sometimes when I do those kind of lyrics, you feel a bit naked because you kind of feel you spill your heart out to the whole world and feel like everybody in the world can read you like a book. But that's that's the thing that goes with doing lyrics and getting out stuff that really is important. And that actually brings us to the last song, and this is the bonus track for the limited edition of this album, and this song is called War Master of Chaos. And when you release albums, the record company always goes for a couple of bonus tracks, and this time around we only had one. And this is the one. And this particular song was, I remember rehearsing, the last rehearsal before we entered the studio for the drum recordings. We had this song, and we had been goofing around with it for a while, and then we had focused on other songs, and we couldn't really get it to work. So we actually, the last night before we entered the studio, we were kind of like, sitting around in the rehearsal room and trying to come up with some ideas for this song, because it wasn't really worked out. And in the fucking final hour, we came up with the structure on this song, and I had a different lyric on this song, which were more poppy, I guess. And I actually did record it, and when I listened to it, it just felt too poppy and not Iron Fire. And so I rewrote the lyrics, and I thought, why not, give the fans at least a song title that sounds like Old Iron Fire. And then it somehow turned into being a really melodic song, and at the same time with really hardcore vocals on it. And I think the chorus really it works out good, and somehow when I recorded it, and I thought, why use this as a bonus track? But then again, when you do bonus tracks, it's always difficult, because you record 12, 14 songs, and then you have to pick 2 songs which are only coming on the limited edition. And picking songs like that is kind of like picking your children. So it's always a bit of a pain to pick out the songs that you think is gonna work less good on the regular edition and is gonna fit more as bonus tracks. And this was the only track we had that we hadn't been really worked out at that point. So, but I think it ended up pretty good, and I actually think that this chorus could work out really good in a live situation. But we haven't played it live yet, but I guess we hopefully will someday. And that brings us to the end of this commentary track, and I just want to say thank you for buying the album, and thank you for taking your time to listen to this, and I hope I have not been too boring for the last hour. And I guess I'll see you out on the road, or see you on the next album. So thank you again, and take care.